Okay, what are you saying, people, and welcome back to my channel. Now today, like always guys, I've got another weekly analysis for you guys. So on the screen are the pairs we'll be analyzing today, but make sure you stay to the end of the video because I will be going into depth analysis about what's happened during last week and potentially what will be happening during next week as well. So make sure you do stay to the end of the video. But with all that said guys, let's just get straight into it. Okay, so first up we've got Euro USD. So for this pair, as you can see, we did see a nice move to the downside this week. We were actually looking for buying opportunities for Euro USD after some retracement from this area of support here. This support here last week, as you can see, nice bounce there last week. Well, that's probably a week before that, and then we were looking for some nice support there again this week. As you can see, we had some fundamentals that just came and dropped price straight through that level, and we were looking quite bearish after that. And as you can see, we didn't get much indication anyway that price was going to have a bounce from here. Some slight price action on the lower time frames, but no real indication that we're going to see a move to the upside. And then the news came in and then take us to the downside there. So we were looking quite bearish here for Euro USD, and we did continue to the downside. So for next week, I'm expecting more of the same for Euro USD. If I go in the higher time frames, you can see overall we are still quite bearish, and we are still looking quite bearish here. We do have this area of support, which is where I do expect price to come to next. So this is where we had a nice double bottom, so 1-2 before that massive move to the upside up to 1.23, and now we've broken through this support here as well. So I'm looking for price to bounce from that support now turn resistance, and just to see a continuation to the downside with all that bearish momentum that we've seen building up over the past few weeks now. So I'm expecting more downside for Euro USD. We have two areas that I'm looking at for Euro USD for shorts. This level just above where price is now, the level I just spoke about, price support now will be term resistance, and obviously this level here as well, because we were looking to buy from this last week. Well, this week we were looking to buy from that, and as you can see, we broke through, haven't come back for the retest, so we might see Euro USD pull back up past this level, push through into this level, start to reject, and if you do see that rejection, can get involved in some shorts to take it back down again, back down to 1.16200, which is that daily support, that double bottom down there. So either way, Euro USD looking for those short opportunities, whether it's at that level or that level there. We'll find out next week looking at price action, but we do expect to see more downside for Euro USD. So shorts we'll be looking at this level here first. So again, price is actually kind of just underneath that level, so we'll probably will be looking at this quite early on in the week, probably on Monday, pretty much as soon as the price opens up, see if we can get some nice rejection from there, and if we do, can look for some shorts again, stops above that level, looking for a push back down into that daily support at 1.16200, or if we do go and break through that, we'll be looking for our shorts at that level just above price here. Still hasn't been retested as that resistance, so looking for a test of that, and again same targets down at those lows there. So more downside for Euro USD, looking for sales at around the 1.17 mark or 1.17500. Okay, now I'm going to move on to USD JPY. So for this pair, we were looking for more downside this week. We did see that, and now we're seeing some retracement. So our bias is still the same from last week, still expecting more downside. Last week I highlighted two key levels we could look to sell from, because our bias was to the downside. We weren't really looking to look for any buying opportunities. So as you can see, these are the two levels that I highlighted for last week, looking for price to come into them, retest them, and look for some selling opportunities. As you can see, with the first level, we did dip below, and then we broke through that. I was looking at this level during my live stream. However, as you can see, price broke through that level, so there was no valid sell opportunity. Then we came to our second level and had a strong rejection from that. I did miss that one, but as you can see, a really nice push to the downside. So coming into next week, we still have the same bias, and we're still looking for the same trades essentially. So again, if price does push on back into this level, we'll be looking for shorts again, anticipating a bit of a double top there, and we'll be looking to take it all the way back down to these lows, because I still do see USD pushing down to these lows, and maybe even having a reversal as well on the daily chart back to these lows here, maybe even further as well. So I can see USD pushing to the downside a lot more over the coming few days and weeks, so we are looking to capitalize on that opportunity. So if price can drive to the upside, retest that area, double double top, stops above that area, again wait for that rejection, then we can look to get in and then have a really nice move to the downside if we can capitalize on that swing. But also again, we already had quite an aggressive move there, so price might not want to retrace that level and might see a push from this level here. So there's two opportunities here. You could either wait for price to push through this level here, come back, retest it, which it might not do, it doesn't have to, but if it does push through this level, come back and retest it, could look for some shorts there to take it back down to those lows. That is a good opportunity. This was the level that we were looking to short from first for USD-JPY, so again it still will be acting as resistance if we can get below. Or if I go into the low time frames like that hourly, you can see the market is already, if I just clear this up, you can see the market is already finding some resistance here in the market, so we are failing to break through that. And if we do keep that up on early in the week, Monday, Tuesday, we could actually find a nice trade to the downside there and take it back down to those lows all the way there. So there could be a nice position there on the lower time frames, hourly, 15-minute, on this area here. Again, stops above that area and take it down to those lows. So that could be a potential trade, or like I said, you can wait for the break and then take the retest. So on the hourly time frame, there could be an extra trade there, but I'll just stick to the 4H for this one. So again, we're looking at some sell opportunities either from this on the break and retest, so we can break back through, take it to the downside, or if we do see more retracement coming into next week, back up to these highs here, we'll look for some retracement and then take it back down again. Either way, looking to sell back down into that 108,700 or 108,800 area. Okay, so I'm going to move on to USD CAD. So for this pair, as you can see, an absolute massive move to the upside this week. We were looking for sells at the start of the week. Again, we had these two areas that we were looking to see if the market can reject and reverse that, which is this 1.26 level there, and also this level here, which price was holding underneath it. I'm looking for a little bit of a head and shoulders there, left head, right shoulder as well. So these were the two areas that we were looking to sell from for last week, but as you can see, price actually broke through these two levels quite quickly. I believe by Tuesday we were actually above both these levels and actually holding our support. So on my live streams, if you don't check that out, make sure you go do so. I did change my bias to bulls, and I said if we can hold above this, we'll probably see a big move to the upside back into the highs here. So again, it's important to change your bias, not always marry it, don't always stick to it, because things can change. And as you can see, they did change quite quickly for USD CAD, and we're looking quite bullish now. So coming into next week, I'm seeing more upside for USD CAD. If I go to the higher time frames, I think price could be coming into this 1.3 level, nice psychological level as well, and very strong weekly level of price support. And I think we're going to come back and respect that as resistance now. So I can see more upside on the higher time frames for USD CAD, but first I think we'll need of some retracement because a very big move there. So I do think some retracement could be coming on the cards soon for USD CAD early on in the week, but I still think the bigger move for USD CAD is to the upside. So you can look to get involved in some shorts, but I'll be a bit careful. Don't be too aggressive. Make sure you take your partials because price could change quite quickly and head back to the upside. So yes, some short-term shorts do look good back to the downside, back into these levels here, maybe even that level as well. But I do think the bigger move is with the bulls. So two areas of interest. Simple break and retest on this level here. If we can see some nice rejection here, we can get involved in some longs back into those highs there. Or if we do have a deeper retracement, which still could happen, push back into this level here, that'll be a great place to buy it back again, take it back into that level and then back into those highs there. So USD CAD, I'm seeing some nice buying opportunities coming into the week now, and looking for a bounce from either a break and retest of this level here around the 1.27 700 level, or 1.26 down there. Sorry to interrupt the video, guys, but if you are enjoying the content and you find it useful, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, and also make sure you drop a like as well. It really does help the channel out. But anyway, back to the video. Okay, so next up we've got Euro Pound. So for this pair, as you can see, big move to the upside this week. Was actually looking for some selling opportunities. Price was holding firmly below this trend line here, so I said as long as price stays below, we're looking for those sales. If we can get above, then we'll change our bias to bulls. So for next week, changing my bias to the bulls, but last week was looking for selling opportunities since we were below that trend line and putting in those lower highs. So I was looking for a retest of this level at the start of the week, but as you can see, we actually did get back above it, held it as support, and continued to the upside. So price didn't really give us much there, was consolidating, broke above, used it as support, the same level as support, and then broke to the upside with that big candlestick there. So the market right now is looking really bullish. It's breaking above that trend line for the second time now. So again, we had that first time a few weeks ago now, and as you can see, it was a false break. We came straight back below, and now we're back above. So expecting this time to actually be the breakout. Of course, we can get back below, do exactly what we did previously, but I'm expecting this to be the breakout now. And if it is the breakout, you know, there's a good chance we're heading back all the way up to those highs now around 0.87. So for next week, target is just going to be this previous high here where we did break out from around the 0.86400. But first, we want to see that retracement. We'll be looking at this level now here. Really nice support and resistance. As you can see, support across there, turn resistance, send us down. So looking for price to come into this level, retest it. We can look at the 4 hour for that, and then take it back into that level up there. So if I dip to the 4 hour time frame, you can see nice support there, resistance as well, and resistance as well this week. So if you can see some retracement to the downside, you can look for some short-term sales if you want to on the lower time frames, because I do see the market coming down again. As you can see, the price action is a little bit choppy, so we've lost some momentum. So I do expect to see some healthy retracement coming back in. Then we look around this level, around the 0.85500, 0.85400. Look to see if we can get some nice wick rejection, something like that, something that we saw here as well, and then we take it back into those highs up there. So looking for those buying opportunities for next week for euro pound, and if you get back below the trend line, it's probably just another false breakout. Then we look just to set it back down again, but for now it looks like we're firmly having that breakout. So I'm expecting a big move back up to 0.86400. Okay, so now I'm going to move on to AUD USD. So for this pair, as you can see, an absolute colossal move to the downside this week, breaking out of this consolidation, and now we're looking very bearish right now. So I'm seeing more downside coming into next week. This week we were looking for some buying opportunities as price was failing to break out of that consolidation during last week, and we're looking for another, just basically another leg to the upside from this support. But as you can see, that did fail. Looking at this trend line here as well, as you can see, we actually broke through that trend line, starting acting as resistance, and from there we had a massive move to the downside there for AU. So we didn't really get much incentive to look for buys. We were looking for buys from that support, but there was no real price action saying yes, we're going to go up. We didn't really hold that trend line, and as you can see, we're holding that as resistance as well. So the market is looking quite bearish for AU, and I'm expecting more downside. Looking at the higher time frames, you can see we do have a clear level of support here, now term resistance. I'm not sure that price will come up and retest that this week, unless we see some crazy strength in the Aussie dollar, or some crazy weakness in the US dollar. But as for targets of where I do see AU going, is this support here, nice double bottom similar to Euro USD, giving us that mad move to the upside. I do think we're going to come into those levels there around 0.7, so I can see more downside for AU. I do have my eye on this kind of level here in the market. Nice resistance there, move to the downside, nice support, big move to the upside. So it does have some value behind it, just above 0.72. So I think we can see some retracement into this level here potentially, and then price might start to reverse, come back down again. So I think that's the level I'll be focusing on. But for AU, because we've had a massive move to the downside, there's not much, you know, recent or local structure that we can look to set our levels at and look to take trades from. So I think for this one, we're going to have to play it by ear, play it by price action. We could well see price retrace a little bit, because it is quite bearish, might retrace a little bit, start forming resistance there, some lower highs, and then we can get involved at a random level around there. So we have to take a look at that during the week and look for trades there. But if we do see a movement back into here, we can look to get involved if we see some nice rejection, and then look for sales. So I'm only going to give this level out here for sales, because we well could, you know, have a little bit of retracement, you know, might not even reach that level and then fall. So I do have to play it by ear, but I think if we do get to this level here, that's a great place to look for sales just above 0.72, so 0.72 200, and back into 0.7 all the way down there. Okay, so next up we've got NZD CAD. So for this pair, as you can see, big move to the downside this week. I do think that was due to some fundamentals that came out overnight for me. As you can see, a massive bearish candle taking out all these levels there. So price was looking quite bearish, and at the start of the week we were looking for some buying opportunities. It looks like we were getting that double bottom here, so I was expecting to see the market start to reverse, big impulsive move, treating that as retrace, nice double bottom. So I was looking for a third lower high or a triple bottom, and then looking for some buying opportunities from that level to take it back into these highs all the way up there. But as you can see, the market is looking quite bearish. It broke through that. We did see some big moves to the upside later on in the week, but I think for NZD CAD, I'm just going to change my bias completely, because looking at the structure here on the higher time frames, it does look like we are putting in those lower highs there in the market. So just highlight them now. You can see there's our first high, next lower high, next lower high, and next lower high with these wicks to the upside. So I do think NZD CAD is going to collapse to the downside here for another move to the downside back into these lows, and probably some new lows as well, spike through them as well, maybe into that 0.85 500 area. But either way, more downside this week for NZD CAD. Again, we were also looking at this trend line here as well. So if I just connect these wicks here, you can see we had the first test there, second, third, broke through, false break, we got back above, and we were retesting that as support, which was another reason we were looking for those buys coming back into that trend line. However, we broke through again and now holding as resistance with that wick. So I think as long as that keeps up, I do see more downside for NZD CAD. So if we go into the 4H time frame, look for our levels here, nice double bottom there, will now be turning resistance there, which we have just got below. Probably want to see price push on a little bit more first, then come in, look for our entries and take it back down. First target probably has to be these lows here, then probably push into those daily lows there. So NZD CAD, I can see some nice shorts from this level here to the downside. So we did see quite a big move just before the week ended with that spike to the downside, and a push back into these lows does look good. Also, I'm going to give out a second level as well, a double top potentially, because we could push our way back to come and retest that trend line, and also retest that resistance there this week as well. So shorts will be looking good as well from this resistance there. Again, same targets back into those lows there and back into those daily lows there as well. So I'm seeing more downside for NZD CAD. Was looking bullish last week, but this week before that price action and those lower highs that I've just told you guys about, it looks like the market's going to fall to the downside here. So more downside for NZD CAD. Look for price to push on a little bit. It hasn't really broke it with too much conviction there, so I want to see price really push down, come back up, can look for those selling opportunities, take it back down to these lows and then those daily lows. Or if we do find support and push back onto that resistance, can look for some sells. Again, wait for that price action and then can look at take it back down to that 0.86 300 mark down there. And now we're going to take a look at pound NZD. So for this pair, that's sell bias this week for pound NZD, looking for a break. If I just go back onto the daily, looking for a break of this trend line here. So I do feel like pound NZD is running out of steam and can break to the downside. I still do think it can break to the downside as well and see a bit of a reversal, but as you can see, that did not happen this week. We respect that trend line and price broke to the upside. Again, we had that that news for NZD showing NZD weakness, so pound NZD shot to the upside as pound NZD. So if NZD is weak, pound NZD will go up, and as you can see, a massive candle there to the upside, breaking through both these levels here, which we were interested in for sales, but as you can see, didn't really give us much incentive either to get involved. Breaking through them with that big candle there, didn't want to sell into that. So price is looking really bullish here for pound NZD from last week. Two big candles there to the upside, but we're now coming back into that same resistance. So it depends what pound NZD wants to do here. It doesn't want to respect this resistance and come back down again, just see another leg to the downside, just repeating the same pattern which is done previously. Respect that resistance, come back down, hold that resistance, come back down. So it could do that again, but also I do have this level here which I've noticed that price might want to go and test these highs up there at 2.02, which is up there. So if we do see a breakout of that resistance, that's probably where price was going to go. But if price starts to stall, because we are seeing some really nice wicks that we did previously see over there, and we're seeing that again as well, so price does want to repeat that pattern, we'll probably just see another leg to the downside back into this trend line here, and just slowly see price squeeze between these two resistance and support until we see a breakout to the upside or to the downside. So that's what I'm expecting for pound NZD over the next couple days stroke weeks. If I look at the price action now, it's looking quite bearish here. So if we can respect resistance here, so we can get below it, start holding that as resistance, then sales will look good back into that trend line. However, if we don't and we push back above, start forming some higher lows, then buys will start looking good, and I think we'll probably push into that level up there on the daily. So I'm giving out two trades opportunity in two different directions because I'm not too sure price is still holding that or it's going to break through. I'm seeing some nice wick rejections, so I'm leaning towards more the downside, but then price action can change quickly and just see price starting to form some higher lows, holding that support and push on. In that case, we'll look for some buys. So it's the same level, looking to buy from this level, take it into that resistance, or if you start getting below, start holding that resistance, which so far we are doing, then we can look for some selling opportunities, looking for price to get involved there. Stop loss probably not that big, and take a bit down into that trend line down there. So just monitor price action, see what happens with that level, see if we're starting to hold as resistance or support, if we're forming higher lows or lower highs. So far we are forming those lower highs, nice wick rejection. So if you keep up that price action, look for those sales to take it back into the trend line. But if price action does changes, we see some, some pound strength or NZD weakness again, and we do push back above, look for those buys because there's a good chance we'll see that breakout into those highs up there. Okay, so next up we've got CAD JPY. So you can see for this pair, nice move to the downside, big move to the downside, which was expected from last week. Last week we were looking for a move back down into this support here, 86,200, and we did highlight some nice levels to trade from. Only thing is that we didn't retrace enough to come and hit these levels basically. So nice areas of support, now to resistance, and also resistance as well. So we were looking for another test at that level. As you can see, we actually just plummeted to the downside. This is all the retracement we got this week, this consolidation before prices continue into the downside. So we didn't get much retracement, big drop, consolidation, big drop this week. So if you didn't really get involved in that move there, you probably would have missed it. But that's nothing wrong with that. There's other pairs out there, and there's always next week as well. But CAD JPY looking very, very bearish from last week. And into this week as well, I'm expecting more downside for CAD JPY. I'm expecting to see some upside, yes, because the market is really bearish. It does need to retrace, but I think the bigger move for this pair is still to the downside. We have support and term resistance here, so we'll be looking for some shorts at that level. If I go in the 4H time frame, we'll be looking for shorts around this level here to take it to the downside. Again, targets will be back at those prior lows down there on 84. 700 there. So looking for more downside for CAD JPY. Want to see some retracement first. Again, we're looking a little bit bullish with those candles, so hopefully that can continue. Come and reject that resistance, respect it, show some nice wicks, and then we can get involved and trade it back down to those lows down there. We could probably push through, create some new lows as well this week. I can see that happening, but again, better to be safe than sorry. So we're going to target these lows here from that resistance. Do be aware we might not retrace that much because the market is very bearish as well. You could do something like that again, start consolidating, so do be aware of that. Look for price action in the lower time frames, and if we do see a breakout, kind of look to get involved in some shorts before that level, of course. But for me, I think I'll be focusing more for a bit of retracement this week back into that level there around the 86,200, now acting resistance, and take it back down to those lows there. So CAD JPY looking for sales this week from 86,200 back down to 84,700 around there. Okay, so next up we've got pound USD. So as you can see for this pair, big move to the downside this week. Was actually looking for buying opportunities for pound USD to start the week off. We did have this key level here of support and also key psychological level as well, 1.38. So was looking for buying opportunities from this level to take it to the upside back to around that 1.4 mark all the way up here. As you can see, that level did not hold. And we did break through that level. I did change my bias to bearish, so make sure you do watch my live stream because not always the bias will be intact. At the start of the week, price action does change, and I do change my bias when price action it breaks through levels or gives me another reason to look in another direction. So pound USD broke through that 1.38 barrier, so I was flipping my bias to bearish, and as you can see we did see that continuation to the downside, and now we're almost pushing back to those lows here. So pound USD is looking quite bearish here. I'm expecting more downside coming into the following week. We've broken through this double bottom here again, so we broke through that probably a few weeks ago now, got straight back above. So if you can hold that as resistance, that would be great, because long term, if I do a quick long term analysis from a weekly point of view, actually no, let me go monthly. Actually, you can see we've had this massive move to the upside. Last time we did that, we were trading here, we had a massive crash back down again. But I do think for pound USD, we're going to come back and retest this area. Whether we're going to break through it or not too sure. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but I think we're going to see a push back down to this area here, retest it, might see a continuation, or price continue further down. Either way, that's where I do see price going from a long-term point of view. So I think we are just having a reversal here for pound USD, and could see a lot more downsides around the 1.33 or 1.34 mark, which is down there. So I'm looking at a lot more downside here for pound USD. This is the first level of interest. Second level of interest will be this level here, nice support there, which will be turn resistance. If I just go onto the lower time frames, for H, you can see nice support going across there will be resistance. So either way, I'm expecting more downside for pound USD. If we do see upsides, most likely to be retracement, unless we start to break through both those levels. Then maybe we might turn bullish. We'll find out what type of price action we get, but most likely if we do see it upside, it's probably just going to be retracement. As you can see, we did have quite a big move to the downside there. If I get a fib on that, you can see the 50% is all the way up there, so you can potentially retrace to go hit that level, or the 0.618, which is just above. So I'm looking at more downside for pound USD. It'd be great to see some retracement back to this level here, take it to the downside back into those lows, or if we push further, we'll look at this level here as well, take it right back down to those lows. So pound USD looking at either this first level back down to those lows, which is 1.36800, or this second level up there, again stops just above that level. Again, make sure you do wait for price action to see what price action we get, whether we get rejections, because price could break straight through both those levels, and obviously you don't want to be in sales if price is doing that. So monitor price action, but we'll be looking for sales at 1.36800 and 1.37300 back down to those lows there. Okay, so next up we've got pound CAD. So as you can see for this pair, really nice move to the upside this week, which was expected from last week. We were looking for buying opportunities. We were looking at this level here last week, so looking for buys from this level here. As you can see, nice support, false break, looking for that retest. We got that retest, and we saw the continuation. Again, we had a lot of CAD weakness, so this trade actually flew to the upside there. So pound CAD looking very bullish there, breaking through that resistance as well, and also taking out that wick there. So looking bullish, but our bias coming into this week as well is still going bullish, despite that aggressive retracement. If you do look at this same level, which price is rejecting here, you can see when we do reject this level, we do see quite aggressive bearish move. So that is expected there, but nonetheless the price action is bullish. So I'm still looking for more upsides for pound CAD coming into next week. We do have this nice area of resistance here, which I'm looking at for price to come in and have a bounce of. As you can see, resistance there, resistance there, resistance there. So if it can act as support, show some nice rejections, something that we saw here, we'll look for buys back into that key level there. Again, not trying to be too aggressive, look for new highs or anything. That is a really key level there, so not going to try and push the trade too far, but if we can see some nice rejection there, that'll be great. Looking to get into some entries around there, stops below the level, and to target that level there, of course. So I'm seeing some nice buying opportunities from around the 1.74 200 mark, and trade it back up to 1.175 600. So more upside for next week, back into that level up there. Okay, so up next we've got pound JPY. So for this pair, big move to the downside this week again, which was expected. A lot of the JPY pairs did the exact same thing. A lot of JPY strength gave a lot of these pairs a big move to the downside. We were looking at, if I go in the 4H time frame, we were looking at this level here last week for moving to this level here, and as you can see, we smashed through that and got a move all the way back down to these lows here, 149,500. So was looking at these two areas from last week, a retest of that. As you can see, we got that at the end of Friday last week, didn't come back up again. Now I was looking also at this level here, which we kind of just missed there with that wick there, so you don't really push to that level, but again you have to be reactive. We did turn quite bearish there, broke through that level and have pushed down to these lows. So was looking at trades from these two levels here last week to the downside, and as you can see with all that momentum, same thing with CAD JPY, really didn't really see the retracement we were looking for last week, and price just continued to the downside. But coming into next week, I'm still expecting more of the same. Hopefully there'll be a bit more retracement this week, because again, big dump to the downside. We do need to see some retracement, you know, to keep the trend healthy. We do need to see some retracement, so hopefully we can see that next week and get involved in some more shorts. But I do see pound JPY taking out these wicks here, so already taking out that wick there, just about taking out that wick there. So the next target is this wick here, and as you can see, every time we do those wicks, we see a spike to the downside. We see the market really take off again. It's because we grab liquidity and then we see the continuation. So there's a lot of liquidity under those levels. We've already taken out those two, and I think the third one is where pound JPY is on its way to head to. So I can see a lot more downside over the next few days and weeks for pound JPY, but we want to see retracement now. We want to see the market come back up, find some resistance, and then we'll look to set it back down again. So we do have this level here again, really nice support, big move to the upside, will be time resistance. So that is the main area I will be looking for. So hopefully we can see price really start to come back up again for pound JPY. We can take it back down to those lows here, which are the lows of a couple of weeks ago or 3 weeks ago now, and then you can look to push it a little bit more if you want to, all the way down to those lows. I'm not too sure if we get to those lows this week, especially if you do have the momentum like that. We probably do need to see some upside for pound JPY first before we do kick off, but you can look to target that, hold it over the weekend. But pound JPY, looking for those selling opportunities. There is a little bit of a level here as well, you know, prior support, now term resistance, so do watch out for that. We could pull back up just before that level, respect it, and then dump, so do watch out for that. But nonetheless, we are looking for those selling opportunities, and if we do see some upside, it's most likely just be retracement. So get ready for the market to turn bearish, and then we'll look to take it down again. So we've already taken out these liquidity areas, looking for a push down to 147,400. Not sure if we'll hit it this week, but you know, trade in that direction. Can look to aim for these lows here, and maybe next week we push into those lows there. So either way, looking for trading opportunities to the downside, back down to these previous lows at 148,500 and then 147,400 down there. Okay, so next up we've got gold. So for this pair, not too much happened for gold this week actually. A lot of sideways consolidation really, to be fair, for gold, but we did see a nice selling opportunity earlier in the week, and we were looking for a buying opportunity, but that hasn't really come around yet. So these are the two levels that we're looking at trading from gold for last week. I did say if we do come into look for some selling opportunities, or if we do push into this area here, do look for some buying opportunities. But as you can see, we didn't really get that, but we did get moved to the resistance. So I was looking for some sells to the downside from that level. In fact, I'm still in a sell right now, still looking for a push into these lows here. So gold a little bit choppy. We might see another drive to the upside, and if that happens, I'll still be looking for selling opportunities to push that back down into these lows, and vice versa. A push into this level here, still looking for buying opportunities, push back into those highs up there, because if I do take this across, you can see every time we get trapped in this area, we do see consolidation between that support and that resistance, and that support and that resistance as well. So I'm expecting a similar price action to happen. I don't expect it to last as long. I think we'll probably break out to the downside and see some more downside from there, but again, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So far we are just trapped between these two levels here. So I do think if we come to this area, we'll probably see a bounce to the upside, and if we come back into that area there, we'll probably see a bounce to the downside. So pretty much the same price action, the same trade that I was expecting from last week again this week. Another push into this level here, because we could easily get a double top back into these levels here. Look for some selling opportunity to take it back down into that support, and vice versa as well. If we do just keep this price action here, slowly lead to the downside here, then there'll be some nice buys back into those highs up there. So from around 17 1768, something like that, some 1768, 1770, back into that resistance around 1796. So if we do see a push there, look at that double top back to the downside. If we break through, then we might see a lot more upside. I'll probably flip my bias to bullish there. So do make sure you join my streams to see if price action does give us that. But if we do have another push back into here, look for some sells, and if you do see some nice rejections, something like we saw there, can look for some buys to take it back into that resistance up there for next week. And last but not least, we've got Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's still looking bullish, still pushing to the upside. It's coming into, well, it has come into the level that I'm looking to sell from. This support now turn resistance. So far, we're still looking bullish here. Not much rejection. If we're in the full H, you can see not much rejection as well. Price just moving sideways. So Bitcoin is in a very key level. If we can break through this, and I can see Bitcoin pushing into this level here. If we don't and we reject it, it'll probably fall back to the downside, back into this area here. So last week was looking for a bounce from this level here. We've only just come into it just at the end of this week here, so pretty much this is still the same buyers from last week coming into that level there, looking for a push into this support there around 40k. If we can hold that, so far it looks like price is still bullish. I wouldn't say it's breaking through because we haven't broken through it, but it's still bullish. If we do see a sharp decline there and some pullback, some lower highs, then we could look to get involved in some sells. And like I said, 40k will be the target down there. But if Bitcoin does push through this, and I can see it and move back into this level here, as you can see, nice clean price action breaking through that support, no retest. So if you do get back above this level, that's probably the first place Bitcoin wants to get to. Then maybe you can aim for some higher levels past that. But right now, Bitcoin is pushing into this key level of resistance. So see what happens there with Bitcoin throughout the week. If we do reject or if we do break through, if we break through, then switch the buyers can look to buy from the support on the retest, on the lower time frames, of course, back into that level there, and then so on and so forth. But if we do reject it, then the sells will be back on, and we can look to take Bitcoin all the way back down to those lows there. So Bitcoin kind of a 50-50, depends what that level does. Look at the price action there, then either set it back down to 40k or push up to this 53k level all the way up there. Okay, so that is the end of the video, guys. Hope you all enjoyed that and found that useful. Like always, guys, any questions, agree or disagree with my analysis, drop a comment down below and I will get back to you. If you did enjoy the video, leave a like. It does really help the channel out and also helps me out as well. And also, if you want to see more of the same content, hit the subscribe button as well so you don't miss out any more of my content. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss an upload as well. But anyway, guys, it is the end of the video. Thanks again for watching and I'll catch you guys in the next one.